So hello and welcome back. We are back again with Beryl, and Onyx will be making an appearance this week as well. Here as we explore around Nagrand, which I think this is the coolest part about doing these videos is I keep learning new things that even though I've been playing this game for a decent amount of time, over a decade, I'm still finding out new things, and I think that's probably why I like World of Warcraft so much, is it's just got so many little hidden nooks and crannies and fun things to explore. Like, I found out that that Nagrand actually means land of winds in Orcish. Never knew that before. Never knew that there was a meaning behind the name Nagrand, so that's kind of cool. But as you can see, it's also one of the areas that is considered the most uncorrupted in Outland. It's the closest to what the land looked like before it got ripped apart. And as such, it is the place where Thrall and Agra ended up kind of retiring to before they got pulled back into everything in BFA. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's also, I think, the prettiest of the zones in Outland. I love looking up at the sky and just looking at what almost looks like galaxies floating by. It's a really pretty place. Now, it is not without its combat, of course. The city of Halal, I think that's how you say it, Hala, in the middle is actually contested, and I know back in Burning Crusade area, and probably even during the Wrath of the Lich King, Hala was still a very hotly contested area, and depending on when you land, it depends on which faction is in control, and it's, a very PvP area, or at least it used to be. I avoided that. I was all about the questing. I still am all about the questing. And there's a lot of fun quests in Nagrand. Not the least of which is Hemet Nessingwary, because after his adventures in Stranglethorn, Hemet Nessingwary decided to, go to where the game was a little bit bigger, a little bit more special, and he is camped out here in Nagrand, just beyond the Throne of Elements, which is kind of what we're coming up on now. And he is big game hunting all over Nagrand. It's a lot of fun. I actually have been doing a playthrough of World of Warcraft, kind of following in Hemet's footsteps. At least that's mostly what I was doing. Not entirely, but a lot of that series is just following Hemet through the expansions. So if you want to see all of the Hemet Nessingwary quests, it's Gertrude's Grand Adventures in World of Warcraft. She's actually now in the Dragon Isles, and she will be catching up with Hemet there because he's out there as well. But this is where Hemet is camped out. He is out here. He and all of his friends here are hunting. I mean, they're also getting attacked periodically, but no big deal there. I mean, okay, maybe for Kristen Dipswitch there, that was a big deal. I probably should have run up and helped, but oh well. Here are my skins, Harold. Now give me the reward. Sure thing, Gankley. Just wait right there. Oh, Gankley is just being terrible. I think I'll kill him. I mean, after all. Might as well. But yeah, Hemet is out here. He and Shadow and Harold are all hunting. And they are definitely having a good time. It's actually a really fun quest chain, and it these days doesn't take you too long to do. Now, that's not the only thing that is going on here in Nagrand, obviously, because if it was, that would be boring. I'm pretty sure that this is another PvP area. Like I said, PvP was never my thing, so I avoided the Ring of Trials because going into the Ring of Trials would flag you for PvP, which back in the day was something I tried my darndest never to do. So I can't tell you anything about what goes on in the Ring of Trials because I never actually did it. Is that bad? Is that good? I don't even know. Now, if you are interested in seeing an area that is supposedly one of the only pre-Draenor examples of actual Draenei architecture that's not completely falling apart, you can go over here to where we are going now, and that is this village right here, Talar. And Talar is a village that is mixed of the Broken, the Talari, and the Draenei. And it's really interesting because it is some pure Draenei architecture. Also, something that I just noticed, because I had never gone in here before, if you hang out over here with Interrogator Khan and the Hand of Argus, he's captured a Halani Blood Knight. And, well, let's just say he is going to interrogate this Blood Knight, and how he's going to interrogate the Blood Knight, if you hang out here long enough, he gets his Talari Broken to just beat the snot out of this poor guy. And I had never come in here before, but there are 2 rooms full of captured Halani Blood Knights, Blood Elves, that are waiting to be interrogated. Now, those guys didn't look so bad, but this room full over here, you can kind of see we got some flies going on here, although they are being fed. I'm just not sure that I'd want to eat what they're being fed, because it looks like it might be a little bit rotten. Anyway, I had never actually noticed that before, so I thought that was cool, and I thought I would show it to you. Now, Beryl here is not even neutral with the Broken here, because she just hasn't done these quests. But once you get them up to at least neutral, they will talk to you. They will actually give you even more quests, daily quests. And back during Wrath of the Lich King, I spent so much time in Nagrand grinding out reputation, because it was, I think, the very first reputation mount I ever got were the Wartall bucks that you get from Talar. And I was so proud of that mount. It couldn't even fly, but I was so incredibly happy with myself for actually getting it. But yeah, you do have a flight point here. It is your only flight point into Nagrand as an Alliance player. And your only flight point into Nagrand as a Horde player is with the Maghar Orc area, where Onyx will be taking us. But before we do that, a really cool thing, at least I think it's a really cool thing, that I only just found out about this year, is along the flight path, I was grinding out reputation because I wanted to get all of the nether drakes. And it's something that I had never done before, so I, every single day, was doing the quests over in Shadowmoon Valley. And one of those quests sends you out here to, I think it is, which Forge Camp is that? It is Forge Camp Fear. So, and you have to go over Forge Camp Fear and over to the Twilight Ridge for these daily quests. And since there's not a flight point there, I spent a lot of time just kind of flying along. And as I was flying along, I was looking around like I always do, because there's so many cool things to see in this game. And as I was flying along, I happened to see something that I had never really seen before. And so I had to stop. And Beryl has not done this, so you can get this all completely kind of raw with her. But there's an NPC that's just standing here on this floating island. And I said, well, that's really weird. A named NPC just standing under this tree root. I wonder what's up with that. So you land and you can talk to him. And it just says, Sean looks at you expectantly. So, I mean, I didn't think too much else about it, but it kept bothering me because I kept seeing him as I was flying over doing my dailies every day. So I looked him up, and I found out that what you need to do is you target Sean and do the wave emote. So we're going to wave at him. And he waves back. Look at that. Well, hello, Sean. You're going to wave back at me. So then you can talk to him again.
Good day to you.
He says, is it you? The person I've been dreaming about? You can answer. Of course, your answer is just ... And then he says, before you ask, I don't know what this person looks like. In my first dream, they were a night elf. In the second, they were a Tauren. And in the third, a night elf again. In these dreams, we'd adventure across Azeroth and Draenor, fighting demons, dragons, old gods, and even murlocs. I'd never had a connection like this before. It seems so real to me. In my last dream, I asked them to meet me here. And you can then say, I hope you find them, in which case he will be sad that it wasn't the person that you aren't the person he was dreaming about. Or you can say, I've had those same dreams about you. And then he says, are you? You are. I have so much to tell you. Where do I get started? Since our first adventure, I could no longer focus on anything but when our next adventure would be. My friends would tell me that you weren't real, that I was acting crazy, that you're only in the dream. I knew they couldn't be right. I knew they couldn't be right. The feelings I have are far more than a dream. Every adventure we've been on, every foe we've slain, and every chat we've had has brought me to one question for you. And then you can say, okay. Will you adventure with me forever? And then you can say yes or no. If you say yes, which, I mean, come on, don't be heartless. Tell poor Sean yes. If you say yes, you get love hearts and you receive a glowing diamond ring, which is an actual in-game item. It's just a level 1, but you know what? It's pretty darn awesome. And he says, I don't have words. You've made me the happiest person. To our next adventure. And then anytime you come back, he is so happy to see you. And you can keep the glowing diamond ring forever. It is a unique equipped item for your finger. You can actually equip it. And I mean, I just personally keep it in my bank because I feel just like it would be terrible to get rid of it. And it's a ring for adventure ring. But yeah, like I said, that was something I just found this year. And I thought it was pretty darn awesome. I mean, granted, I can't say that I'm the one who found out about it, but to all of those who are the ones who figured out how to make Sean respond to them, I do thank them. Also, I just think it's kind of awesome. Now, as you can see down here, Forge Camp hate and fear are here, and that is proof that the corruption is still out in this area. Unfortunately, Nagrand is not quite as bad off as a lot of areas, but it's still not perfect. Also, all over this area, and it is the objective of both the Talari and the Mag'har orcs, are all of these ogres. And as you slay them, you can sometimes get war beads from them. Every, I think it's 10 war beads that you turn in, gives you a little bit more reputation with either the orcs or the broken, and that's how you earn your mounts. Now down here we have the Laughing Skull ruins. The Laughing Skull was, I do believe, a tribe of orcs that have been taken over by the Warmaul ogres, and that is where you can come over here and just completely decimate these ogres. I did it for so long. I would just do rounds of this area, killing for war beads. This is also where the Ring of Blood is, which is a fun little, I mean, it's fun now. Back in the day, you would have to get a group together to help you beat the Ring of Blood trials and get an achievement. And then in Wrath of the Lich King, there's another Ring of Trials achievement, and I think it kept on going. I know through Cataclysm. I'm not sure if it kept on going through the rest of the games or not. So, if you know, let me know. This is also the site of yet another of World of Warcraft's favorite things, and that's a poop quest. This poop quest is a little bit worse because this poop quest has you gathering all of these fun little thorn grazers droppings, and you sift through them to get some neat little beans. I think, yep, there's a pile right there of thorn grazer material, and you sort through the thorn grazer poo and you get the beans out of it, and then those beans are a consumable item that you then consume to get water breathing. I'm not exactly sure why we can't just pick those beans off the bush, but obviously we can't. This is also where the Throne of Elements is, and it is the same area as it is in Draenor, so that's kind of fun. Anyway, we're going to turn it over to Onyx now so that she can go over here and check out these Mag'har orc, and we'll talk a little bit about them, and then we're going to go to a fun little daycare. At least it's fun if you're not a kid. Alright, so we are back at Garadar with Onyx, which, as you can see, she has not actually quested here either, because nobody here will talk to her. It's terrible, but it is what it is. Garadar is really interesting, and again, I didn't know too much about this area before I started actually researching it. So, I will share with you what I have learned about Garadar, because I think it's kind of interesting. Now, this place does not actually exist in alternate Draenor. So in Warlords of Draenor, if you come to this area, it is the Stones of Prophecy is pretty much where this would be if you are looking for it in the Warlords of Draenor expansion. But the reason that this is not in alternate Draenor, or Warlords of Draenor, is because it didn't exist back then. This place was founded about 10 years before the first war from the orcs, and it was made in order to quarantine victims of the Red Pox. And it was the chieftain of the Frost Wolf clan, Garad, who agreed to kind of be the leader, and that's why they named it Garadar. He did not actually survive the Red Pox. He died soon after. And as you can see here, we have some Halani Vindicators who have been captured. They aren't looking quite, well, never mind. I was going to say it doesn't look quite as bad as the Blood Elves in Talari, but maybe it is. But anyway, he rallied the survivors, they built this town, and he earned their eternal respect, and they named this place after him. But as a result of the quarantine and the fact that they stayed isolated here, none of the orcs here have the green skin because they did not drink the corrupted blood. So that is kind of cool, and I don't know if this is supposedly where all the Mag'har orc that you get in the game now are from, or if they're actually from the uncorrupted versions of themselves in Warlords of Draenor. But I did find that really interesting, and it's why these orcs are looking the way they do. So I thought that was kind of cool. You know, little fun facts that you learn that I never knew. And that could also be because back when I was first playing World of Warcraft, even though I still did like to explore and things, I didn't do it to the extent that I do now. Now also, you can see one of the war tallbucks that you can get if you get your reputation up, also with the Mag'har. So I thought that was kind of cool. Alright, so we're going to actually go to one last place that's kind of fun, and that is Chal's Home for Orphans. And to find Chal's Home for Orphans, all you have to do is look for the Laughing Skull ruins, which doesn't actually look like I have uncovered those with Onyx, but they are up here in the edge of the world between Zangarmarsh and Nagrand. So I'm just going to reveal the Laughing Skull ruins on the map with Onyx here so I can show you exactly where they would be on the map. Alright, so they're pretty much where the last G is in Laughing Skull ruins, so right up above this spot right here on the map. And this is a really interesting place because there's really not that much to it in the game. Everybody thought maybe it was an Easter egg, maybe it had something to do with Orphans Week. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with any of that, but it is sort of a cool and creepy place that you can visit. Alright, so here we go. We are going to where the end of that G is on the map. And down we go. And right into a tree, because of course I did. I never said I was good at flying. I just said I could do it, kinda. Alright, but anyway, right here we have Chal's Home for Orphans. It's sort of an interesting thing, and Chal herself is a very, very interesting character. Now, when you meet her here, she is in the form of a troll. But when you meet her in alternate Draenor, she's in the form of an ogre. leading people to have speculated that she is some sort of a shapeshifter. Now, if you talk to her here, she just says, "Shh, keep your voice down. The babes are sleeping." Well, look at that. Isn't she just the most noble woman? I mean, she's got a night elf baby and a tauren baby, and we got a couple more babies over here, little tauren babies. And these were actually almost the first babies that were seen in the game. And if you go into her hut here, we've got a few bear skins. I mean, she's been doing some hunting. You know, I mean, that makes sense. She's got to keep these babies warm. Look at all these cute little babies. And she even has a blood elf child, an orc child, and a little human child, who, by the way, their names, I need to look it up really quick again. All right, their names are Chato and Sarah, which are the human boy and the blood elf girl. And Jara over here is an orc. For some reason, he's hiding amongst the bones. None of the kids actually talk to you if you click on them. But you know, how wholesome is that? It's not until you really start looking around a little more that things start to get a little bit creepy. Like over here, where you see we've got a doghouse. Unfortunately, it looks like maybe somebody bludgeoned Fido with this big stick, and all that's left of him is that little bit of meat in the doghouse. That's a little disturbing. Run, Chato. Run, Sarah. But you know, I mean, maybe it was an old Yeller situation. I mean, surely Chal here is absolutely a wonderful person. We look in the pot. I don't really see too much in it. We'll zoom in there and look a little bit closer, but no, it just kind of looks like a pot. But it wasn't until people started going behind Chal's hut that they started really piecing things together. And that's the fact that we have some cages back here, and in these cages there are some remains, and these remains are kind of small, and they look kind of like little children. Much later, it is confirmed that yes, indeed, Chal is she is a cannibal, and she seems to be consuming these children to keep herself young. You do meet her again in alternate Draenor, and I think there you actually slay her, but who knows what she is in fact, or where she comes from. Maybe she's ascending of the old gods? I don't know. But it is an interesting little piece of... You can't even really call it lore, you just have to kind of call it a World of Warcraft mystery. So if you know anything else about this area that I missed out on, I didn't touch on the Oshigan, which is the ship that the Draenei actually came to Draenor in, or a lot of the other stuff. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their own iconic memories of Nagrand, and this just happens to be mine, you know? Also, if you know anything else about Jara or Sarah or Chato or even Chal, let me know, because I'm always so interested. It's a very interesting area. But anyway, that is probably where we're going to leave it this week. So from me and Beryl and Onyx, and maybe not from Chal. Chal's a little bit creepy, but from everybody else, thank you so much for listening to me coming. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Leave me a thumbs up if you don't mind. It does always make me smile, and I will see you next week when we move on to Terakar Forest and Shatarath. So until then, thank you as always for joining me, and I will see you later. Say goodbye, Onyx.